Hi everyone, it's Tawney. If you're new to my channel, thanks for checking me out. I film lots of makeup content, so if you're interested in that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified when I upload my videos. In today's video, I wanted to talk about brands that have products that are not inclusive. And I mean this in a way that I'm going to be talking about products from brands that don't have a good shade range, basically. And I am going to follow this up with like a part 2, part 3, however many parts I actually can film, because I feel like there could be potential for a lot, but we'll see how that goes because hopefully brands have been catching on, but we'll see about that. First up, I wanted to get into a brand that has changed their ways a little bit since they first came out with this product. And I don't think they've necessarily done a great job, but I feel like they've definitely stepped up from what was initially launched. And that's Physicians Formula. Physicians Formula first came out with the butter bronzer in 2 shades. They had light bronzer and bronzer. And those were like the only shades you could get. They were like the only bronzer at the drugstore. That was pretty much it. So if you were dark skin, medium skin, anything medium to deep to dark, forget it. Sorry, not for you. If you had pale and light skin, great. We found bronzers for you. And I have to say the light bronzer is very, very light. Like fair skin people can use it, but I don't feel like light skin people can get away with it, which I guess would mean that bronzer would work for you, but there should be more shades to it. And then they came out with 2 new shades in 2018, and I believe there's more shades than just the initial 4 that I've seen, but I'm not totally sure how many they actually have. I know there's a good many, so probably more than 4, but from what I've seen, there's just 4. And I feel like this could have been a good opportunity for them to really like take people's cash. Like, you're the first brand at the drugstore to come out with a bronzer. It's a good bronzer at that. Like, everyone loves it. It's like $15, like averaging across every different drugstore you go to. It's like $15. So it's a good money maker that I feel like the brand, if they would have made a more inclusive shade range, could have really banked on that. And I feel like that's something that they really lacked in. So I'm hoping that they fix their mistake and do better. I think there's definitely other brands that have different bronzers in the drugstore, but I feel like this is a brand that if they actually work to fix this even today in 2022, they could make some serious money from this. Next up is a brand that they're one of the, I would say, top 5 most notorious non-inclusive makeup brands, and it is IT Cosmetics. They came out with their IT Cosmetics CC oil-free matte foundation, whatever you want to call it. A CC cream is basically a lighter foundation, but that still offers you the coverage of a foundation, more like a light to medium, like it gives you light to medium coverage. I would say like most of the time you can get away with medium. And IT Cosmetics is known for having like the best CC creams in like the market, like of any place, drugstore, high-end luxury, you name it, they're known for the best. Well, they came out with this foundation a couple years ago in 12 shades. They have a bunch of shades that are light to medium. They had a good medium range, but I would say that some of the shades overlapped a good bit. And I feel like that's where it starts to become less inclusive, is especially when the shades overlap. And then there's like one shade that's somewhat dark, but it's for like light dark people. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even for like dark. And IT Cosmetics has made a statement that said that like they don't really care that they're not inclusive and they don't plan to like ever fix it. They're basically just like non-apologetic for being this way. And a lot of people are like really mad at IT Cosmetics for not properly trying to like market to the right people, or like trying to make products for the market that want to buy from them. Like, there's so many influencers I've seen here on YouTube that want to buy IT Cosmetics, that have heard great things about the brand, that would like to be involved in that conversation as well, but can't be because they can't find any shades that match for them. They also came out with another foundation. I believe it was like an actual foundation, that it was the Bye Bye foundation or something like that. And that one had just as bad as a shade range. And people were like, where's my foundation at? Like, you're making foundations for people, but I'm not included. Like, you're basically telling me I can't buy from your brand. And that should never be the case with a company. You always want to tell people you can buy from me. You want to like figure it out, make it work, make it happen. Make it so that people are buying from you so you get their money. Like, if you want to be about the money, then put out products that people are actually asking for, because it really can't cost that much more money to make colors that are different, like a little bit deeper, so that way they can actually use them. I'm not quite understanding the problem here. Next up is another brand that I would put in the top 5 of bad shade ranges, and that is Clinique. They came out with their Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer, which I would kind of categorize this along the lines of like the pure Love Your Selfie, 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. Except whereas that foundation had 100 shades, this one initially started with 20, which doesn't seem that bad, but there weren't any deep shades. There was like one somewhat dark shade, a lot of mediums, and mainly light to fair complexion foundation and concealer product. And it kind of really limited the people that could actually buy this. They have expanded to 40 shades, and I do think the shade range is better, but I still feel like they need to improve, especially on initial launches, because I feel like that's really a make or break for a lot of people. If a brand comes out with a bunch of shades and they're ranging from like light to medium, but there's no deep and dark, they just feel like they're not allowed to use this foundation. And if I were one of those people and they said, oh yeah, later on we'll come out with one of these products, I would be like, later on I might be interested, but not today. And that today like would stay forever. I would never eventually become interested. And I feel like that's what brands don't always get, is that like, if you're not going to put it out now, then we're not interested later. The next brand is another bronzer, and I do plan on talking about other products that aren't just bronzers, foundations, concealers, but this is just what I found so far, so bear with me. In a part 2, we'll explore a little bit more. I just wanted to kind of start this little series off with kind of the basics, stuff that you could predict, stuff that seems like it's, you would expect this. Like, you're not surprised when you see these launches. This next one is from Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, and it is their Sun-Kissed Bronzer. I don't have an actual picture of what the bronzer looks like. I believe it's the bronzers that are a duo with the blushes, but I haven't I can't really tell. I think she had released, she had taken the bronzers off the market or wasn't going to release them, but I'm not totally sure what happened with that. But the bronzer, I remember when she launched these shades and she launched the shade ranges and the picture was posted, there were 5 shades and they looked so ashy and gray on the deep, dark, skin-toned person's arm that it blew my mind. And I was wondering, how is she going to get out of this? It's Jaclyn, she's not going to have an excuse. She's just going to blame it on somebody else. And, it's not her problem. It's someone else's problem. And it's sorry, there's not an inclusive shade range, but it's not on me. Find someone else to blame. And she said that she didn't have a dark-skinned model to base the color off of, which is why the shade ranges are so poor and so limited to light, fair, medium skin tones. Somewhat even dark, but at that point, your bronzer should be darker than your skin tone. So you honestly can't even get away with dark people, with a dark complexion. So she's really limiting this product as well. And the fact that she had such a poor excuse for not correctly putting out these bronzers, I think makes her the most at fault within this list that I've put out with. I think It Cosmetics could be up there because they could try, but I feel like Jaclyn knows the market. She knows YouTube. She knows makeup as a whole. She should know better. The fact that she doesn't, it just proves that she's just one of those people that's never going to change. So I'm not really expecting any more inclusive products from her. If she were to come out with a concealer, a powder, or a foundation, which she has come out with powders, and I don't really think that shade range is great either, but it's better than this. But I really don't think she'd come out with a good shade range that would apply to everybody. And I feel like that is where people don't that's where they really suffer, especially with people with a darker complexion and a darker skin tone, because they're not going to be putting their money into your brand if you're not going to include them. If I were somebody in that situation, I wouldn't want to buy anything from the brand because it shows me that you don't care about me. Just because your lipstick works for me doesn't mean I want to I shouldn't support you just because one lipstick does if the rest of the brand doesn't, because that's not fair. Next up is probably one you saw coming. This is probably the worst offender on the list, I would say by far. I think it's the worst offender in makeup community history. Everyone remembers this moment when they first saw this picture released. It is the Tarte Shape Tape Foundation. This foundation was launched, I believe, in 2017 or 2018, and people were outraged. I was shocked when this picture came out. I was this can't be real. And then I was I want to hear the drama that people are going to come out with. I want people to lash out and lose their minds because, and rightfully so, this is a horrible release and it needs to be talked about. Like, people really need to get up in arms about this. They released a shade range of about 10 to 12 foundation shades, and there was only one for deep and one for medium. And if you notice in the picture, 3/4 of those light colors look the same. Like, we as light toned people would honestly be fine with like 2 or 3 shades to match us if there was a gradient enough to fit everybody in that spectrum. The fact that only a select few people can like use this foundation says how much Tarte cares about their like community as a whole. They came out with one of the best concealers ever. They have some really good blushes. They have a lot of really nice products, and then they go and do this. And it says, we didn't care about you from the get-go. Like, we were in it for your money, but now we just don't really care. And it just seems like such a slap in the face when you've supported the brand for so long for them to go and do this. And their claim when they first released this was that they were eventually going to release deeper skin colors or deeper colors for people with darker skin tones. But they just didn't initially. Like, they were planning on it, but not right away. And that's where I go back to the other brands of where they say, oh, we're going to do it later. I don't care about later. If you don't do it now, I'm not going to care later. I just can't, like, it's just not, like, it shouldn't have to be that way. Finally, the last one I want to talk about is the Morphe Fluidity Foundation. Now, if you don't remember, this foundation got a lot of flack because of all the YouTubers here that were promoting this foundation without liking it or actually even trying it. They would like say they tried it and then give a review and then say, oh, it was the best thing ever. And then it looked cakey and everybody hated it. It was supposed to be like the best matte foundation. There were 50 shades in total, so everyone had a shade to match it. Well, when the foundation came out, the shade range was just a lot of orange and reds. And if you needed a pink undertone or a neutral undertone, sorry about your luck. Like, you were going to look like a pumpkin all day. You were going to look like the red spot on Jupiter. Like, it was going to be a rough day for you if you could not do a yellow or orange or red undertone. And I feel like this is where this launch really faltered, because this was around the time I believe that the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation came out, and they had 100 shades. And they were like, everyone loved the fact that this came out because it felt like they actually tried to come out with a bunch of different shades and tones that matched everyone's undertones and any kind of skin issues that would like discolor their face, and to try and like make their skin look better. And I feel like Morphe wanted to compete with that, so they in turn came out with 50, which I do have to say 50 and 100 is a very big difference, especially when it comes to makeup, especially when it comes to shades. And I know that 100 can seem almost intimidating, but like, I've heard background stories about the 4-in-1 foundation from Pure, and they said that they really worked with a lot of people that had deeper complexions to make foundations that match their skin tones so that everyone would have a foundation to wear. And I feel like Morphe just saw the chance to come out with a like large range foundation, and they were like, we're going to do it. We don't care how it looks. We're just going to go ahead and do it. And Morphe is one of those brands that I feel like really goes after the money. So they really wanted to try it to try and get everyone's money. It just didn't go so well. And I don't want to say that they didn't like try to be inclusive, because I feel like they did at some point like have that thought going on. I feel like they did try to do that. It just didn't really like show through as well. So that's one that, like, I do have to commend them on trying. It just didn't get executed properly. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have any thoughts, if there's any other brands or products that you'd like me to mention and talk about. I'd love to throw my opinion out there, or I'd love to read yours as well if you have one. Put that down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell down below. Don't forget to check out any other videos I have, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye!